Exactly.
I think so.
Okay.
Let me call this meeting to order of the Public Safety Committee.
And I'm the guy who said they send all
January 28th,
correct my behavior.
Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Tom, will you help us with the Pledge of Allegiance? Please stand.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have a seat. My name's Nick Bercuda. I'm the current chair of the committee. So we'll call roll, if I may.
Okay, Chief Rod Malott.
Here.
Chief Shane Mull.
Here.
Captain Jay Christian. Chair Nick Bercuda.
Here.
Vice Chair Michael Greenwald.
Here.
Mark Roden.
Here.
Tom Hazelton.
Here.
Okay. We don't have any presentations today, so we'll move right on to our minutes from last month. If you take a look at them real quick. See if there's any corrections or changes.
Move to approve.
second.
Second, moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Just raise your hand.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can do that. There's proposal to move item number 8 under new, which is new business consideration amending the current city municipal code to allow temporary tent camping on selected church properties. We move that up so that our folks can, we don't have to delay that for presentation. Tom, last month, Tom introduced this and for our discussion, and we asked him to come back and give us a few words on what they're looking for, so we agendized it, and so.
Did you do a motion and who said?
Oh, I got the motion to move
I
this.
moved it.
Okay, I got a second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Streeter. I'm co-chair of the Homelessness Collaborative of San Clemente. Last month I came here to suggest that we might be able to put together a package whereby several faith-based organizations would rotate their parking lots to supply a place for homeless people to at least camp out temporarily. I regret to announce that that plan has fallen through, so we're going to try something else. We don't know what yet, but at least I wanted to close that knot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom, for everything you do.
We look forward to what you come up with next. Good. All right. Oral and written communications. Members of the audience may address the committee on matters of public interest that pertain to the city. Otherwise, if you wish to speak, raise your hand and be called on. And you have a 3-minute limit. Anybody? Please stand. Introduce yourself if you would.
My name is Matt. I'm a resident of San Clemente. I've been for the last 7 years. I know a lot of people don't consider me a resident. They look at me as a bum or transient or vagrant. But in the neighborhood I sleep in, all the people call me neighbor. And I try to keep my neighborhood safe and quiet and clean. And that's been the case until about 4 months ago, when I had a group of teens from the high schools targeting me pretty much nightly, and they made death threats against me, just basic harassment, come around and wake me up at 2 in the morning. And I called sheriff's deputies and reported all these, and I showed them videos of the incidents, and they agreed that the things they were doing to me were crimes, yet, that's back in October, and here we are in January, 4 months later, and still nobody's been held responsible for any of these things. And I told them, they're yelling stuff now, and then they're throwing their drink cups and stuff at me out of their windows, but it keeps escalating. And it kept escalating. Then they threw a gallon jug of water at my head while I was sleeping. That's about 8 pounds when it's full. They threw a chunk of concrete. They've thrown beer bottles. And then about a week ago, they threw a bunch of firecrackers at me while I was sleeping. They blew about a hole about that size in a blanket that was between me and the firecrackers. If it would have been there, it would have landed on my chest. I could have been disfigured or blinded, maybe killed. You know, this just keeps escalating and escalating. And I have video and witnesses of that incident. And the sheriff's department wouldn't even come out and fill out a report. And I've showed them my death threats against me. You know, the deputy listened to the death threat for about 5 seconds of a 40-second threat and said, well, it's not a credible threat. And he kept telling me it's not a credible threat. And the way he determined it's not a credible threat is that they haven't killed me. They said they'd be back in an hour, and it was an hour and 9 minutes later, which is how long it took for a sheriff's deputy to come out and respond to a death threat. And since it had been an hour and 9 minutes later, then it was no longer a credible threat. He said that it wasn't anyway, but he wouldn't even listen to the threat. So I'm just wondering, what is it going to take? Are they going to have to kill me before something actually happens? I mean, the firecrackers, bottles, you know, they come out in groups of them. There's dozens of them at a time. They've been stalking me. By the definition of the law, what they're doing is stalking. The death threats are all illegal, the harassment, the assaults with objects. I mean, everything they're doing to me is illegal. They've been gang stalking me for months, dozens of them. I have license plate numbers and faces, and I give the information to a sheriff's deputy. He sees the video, he agrees that it's a crime, and I give him the license plate number, and he tells me, well, we'll drive around and see if we run into him, you know.
You start over. We just have 2 people from the sheriff's department join us.
So does he get more time?
I mean, how far back do you need me to go? I think all of the sheriff's deputies and people in the sheriff's department are familiar with this. This has been going on for 4 months. This is dozens of calls. This is the dispatch and the sheriff's department saying, oh, we keep getting all these calls about this, you know? Well, maybe if you locked up some of these psychopathic teenagers, then maybe this would stop. And these are the same teenagers that go around shooting people with pellet guns at the outlets, or they go kicking on some old lady's door at 10 o'clock at night, scaring the hell out of her. You know, these are the same teens that do this stuff to people like you. They're doing it to me, but it's easy to do it to me because I'm an open target, you know. I'm out in the public. I'm out in the open. Sheriff's deputy even told me that. He said, well, you sleep on a sidewalk, which is not a sidewalk, but, you know, they want to do anything they can to demean me and make me feel small. So basically, it's my fault because I'm an open target. And they're just teens. He told me they're just teens. They're trying to get a rise out of you, you know. So just teens having fun. So if they want to make a death threat or throw a bottle at you or throw some firecrackers at your head, they're just teens. They're just having fun. So just, you know, no report taken, no consequences, no repercussions. You know, I've had people, I'm almost 50 years old. I've been working out there for 7 years as an artist. And I've had this city try to criminalize me as much as possible for the work I do or where I sleep. But everything that's ever happened to me, I've had people throw a whole cup of coffee on my art, you know, nothing. I had somebody smash over $1,000 camera, nothing. People threaten to kill me, just nothing. Over the years, just nothing. No justice for me. That's why when you're reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, I didn't, because I don't want to be a part of this farce where you people are saying liberty and justice for all when I have received none for 4 months. You know, there's no excuse for it. All it is ever excuses. When the sheriff's deputy tells me, well, you don't talk nice to us, so that's why we don't come out. That's why we don't take your report. That's just completely asinine. It's an excuse, and I just want to know why I'm not afforded the same protection that everybody else in the city is because of my homelessness. I understand that's why. It's kind of a rhetorical question. I already know the answer is because I'm homeless, and people in this crowd, people in the city council probably don't think that my life is worth anything, but there's a lot of people that do in this town. And they come back to see me year after year to see my art. And one year they're going to come back and that corner's going to be empty. They're going to say, oh yeah, some teens, they killed that homeless guy. And they're going to say, oh well, why didn't somebody do something to stop that? So that's why I'm asking. Why isn't anybody doing something to stop them from killing me? You think throwing 3 packages of firecrackers in my head while I'm sleeping, 2 feet away from my head, you think that's, you know, you think they're trying to wish me well? You think that's going to do anything for my safety and well-being? I keep seeing these Facebook posts about the safety and well-being of the people of San Clemente, about the residents, you know, but I'm not seeing any of that. I'm seeing being ignored, just flat out ignored. They just don't want to have anything to do with it. It's a disdain for even having to help me in the first place, to even be there. They don't want to be there. They don't want to take the call. I'm just homeless. If I was dead, that would solve a lot of problems for you guys, you know. You wouldn't have to deal with people calling you about me sleeping here or me with my art there, you know. It would solve a lot of problems for, you know, people in suits in this town. But the real people in this town, they support me. That's why there's some of them are here today. You know, more of them would have been here, but it's kind of shameful you guys have these meetings from 3 to 5 when working people can't actually be here. You know, I had so many people that wanted to be here, but they have jobs. They have to be at work, and they can't be here. I would love to pack this place with people. A lot of them are at work right now. But, you know, I don't know what more I can say, you know. Everybody's telling me, when you go up there, just be calm. Be calm. You know, I've been calm for months, and it's 4 months of this, and nothing's happened. So the calmness has left my body.
Sir, that's your time, but I had a question, possibly two, depending on the answer to your first question. Without giving away an exact location, which general portion of town has this been occurring?
It's downtown San Clemente.
Okay, and then
Downtown San Clemente for 4 months. You know, the heart of the city right there.
I got you. And then the follow-up question is, have they found you in different places where you've gone, or are you always in the same spot?
No, I'm always in the same spot, and I will not move. That's
Okay.
a few
Well, that's
people have
all
said
I
that. A few people have said that I should move. I've had the sheriff deputy say the logical thing would be for you to move, and I say the logical thing would be for you to stop the teenagers who are coming out here every night after curfew. They're breaking all kinds of laws and committing crimes. That would be the logical thing to do. Stop the teenagers from committing crimes instead of me moving somewhere else. Where else would I go? If I go somewhere else and they see me there, are they just not going to do anything? They're going to say, oh, well, he's there now, so we're not going to throw stuff at him. We're not going to threaten to kill him. You know, now he's cool. Now he's cool. No, it's not going to happen. So no matter where I go, they're going to find me and do the same stuff.
Sir, first and foremost, I wasn't directing you to move.
No, I wasn't saying that at all.
And
I wasn't saying that at all.
hold
I'm just
on.
telling you, I have been told that by sheriff
Yeah, I
deputies,
gotcha.
by people who are charged with enforcing the law. When I show them a crime, they see the crime and they say, I should move.
Okay.
That's not right.
So you're well
But yeah,
beyond your
anybody
time.
else?
You're well beyond your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it all the time. I
This is
appreciate
the
you talking
first-
all the time.
I believe this is the first any of us have ever heard of this.
And see, that to me is a dereliction of somebody's duty, that this is the first, if you're the Public Safety
Thank
Commission,
you.
and this is the first you're
Okay.
hearing about this after 4 months.
This is okay, but just so you know, this is not the forum where we have a debate or even normally a back and forth conversation. I was just asking questions to clarify stuff for our own edification.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
I do want you to know that regardless of your housing status, you are a member of the community, and if anybody's made you feel that way, I apologize. But we don't view you that way, and we wouldn't treat you that way. And there are proper courses of actions. If you believe that you have been mistreated by the sheriff's office or city personnel, there's an avenue for that. But I'll be honest with you, as much as I appreciate you telling us what your plight has been over the last 4 months, this is not the recourse for those actions. And you're more than welcome to, if you want to stand by after the meeting. I don't know if you have time to sit for the whole meeting. There are actions you can take if you believe that your rights are being violated by members of the sheriff's office or the city. There's an avenue for that. This is not it.
Well, this is not about a rights violation. It's about clear crimes on video with witnesses time after time that aren't being considered crimes.
Okay.
That's the point. It's not about them violating my rights or anything. I mean, they've done that, you know, but this is about clear crimes on video with witnesses that are clear crimes, that deputies have agreed to clear crimes, that they are crimes, and they just refuse to do anything about it. That's the problem. That's the issue. It's not about anybody violating my rights or anything. It's
And
about
there's
enforcing the law
Time
against
is
people
up.
who are breaking it against me.
Your time is up, so please don't speak anymore. And secondly, if you want to stay,
If I'm not going to
we'll
get speak
explain
anymore in
you.
response to you, then I'm not. Then I'm
Okay.
just going to leave, which I was planning on doing anyway.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
May I speak?
Please. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jody Giles. I live in the T Street area. We own a golden retriever. Golden retrievers don't care about your social status or your home ownership or anything like that. And that's how we became friends with Matt, who you just heard from. Matt reasonably has become very, very agitated over the last few months. I wrote on October 30th to Captain Christian and to all of the council members about the escalation and what was going on. I did get a response saying, I will pass along to patrol from Captain Christian. These kids are acting with impunity. They've made harassment a sport. A windshield of one of the trucks that was harassing Matt was broken by a rock in the middle of Del Mar. We know the license plate. We know where the kid lives. Matt was not arrested. As far as I know, nobody was arrested. Therefore, this continues to escalate and escalate, and I am really afraid certain individuals are going to escalate this and somebody's going to get violently hurt. I am not sheriff. There's law enforcement in my family. I do believe a couple nights of proactive sitting there may suck for a couple nights, but catch the kids in the act. And this will stop and it will de-escalate, and we can deal with homeless policies and all that later. But we have a triage event on our hands right now. The sign says, "In God we trust." Respectfully, God has entrusted us to love and care for our neighbor. This man is in deep pain. We need to find a way to proactively care for him. Thank you for listening to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Please. Step up and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Bernice Giles. I'm also Matt's friend. I think I'm just very worried about Matt because he's not sleeping. Every night he doesn't know who's going to show up to throw something at him, to do something at him, scream at him. And it's just, he's exhausted. And we're just asking for help. If this isn't the right forum to get that help, we'd appreciate direction because we care about him. He is a good neighbor. He really is. He runs some bad people out of the area. We need your help. So, thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for coming. Okay. Moving right along. Now, I think we need to find out a little bit more what's going on, pass it on to the Sheriff's Department, find out what's I think at this point, I'd like to introduce Captain Cruz Alday, if you would.
Thank you.
Captain,
Good afternoon,
yeah.
Honorable Board. So a little bit about myself, Captain Cruz Alday, 27 years with the department. You're probably asking, what am I doing here? And why isn't Chief Jay Christian here? At the needs of the department, Jay has been moved to a different job location. Currently, the city, as well as our department, is actually going through the process of getting a new chief for the city. We should have a new chief projecting maybe within 2 weeks. So for the time being, I'll be substituting in his place or in the next person's place. And I'm here for whatever it is that you need, along with our admin sergeant, Jared Streeter, who has historical knowledge of everything that's been taking place and everything, all the efforts that you've instilled, including the gentleman that just spoke. He's absolutely familiar, and he's educated me that we've made an attempt to offer services and engage with the individual, but obviously we haven't been able to come to an agreement as far as taking some of those services. So again, whatever you need from our office, I'm here to assist and facilitate. I should be here, like I mentioned, for a couple of weeks, and then you should have a new chief going forward. As far as my experience, 27 years with the department. As far as city chief, I served as a city chief for 2 years in the city of Stanton, and I'm currently serving as the city chief for the city of Laguna Woods, as well as I'm in charge of all the operational needs inside our substation in Southwest Aliso Viejo, which is the investigative detail the traffic office, the auto theft task force. So if I could help you with anything, by all means, I'm here to assist.
It's part of the committee. You're assuming one of the committee positions, if you would.
I appreciate it, then. Thank you. I will take my place. Any other
Welcome.
questions? Thank you. I appreciate it.
We want to welcome you too.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, let's go to, let's see, reviews and recommendations. We are going to do the marine safety. Chief, hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, the marine safety performance measures. Q4 is the second busiest quarter for marine safety. You can see, you probably don't know, but attendance is down in April, May. That's due to the sand replenishment project. So much of the area was closed, of the beach area. But outside of that, it's pretty self-explanatory. If anyone has any questions, I'm open to hearing those.
Noted again, 0 drownings. Thank you. And so we're watching it real close. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments?
No, pretty straightforward. Rod, anything else you want to bring up to us?
I have a lot of stuff to bring up. When we're at my turn to speak at the end.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, we're now in the Care Ambulance performance measures. That's item 7B. Take a look. And that kind of goes along with OCFA because you're kind of linked together on the responses, correct?
No.
Sure. We are linked together, but
Right, but you're not.
I don't want to report on their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We reviewed the.
I know you're not linked that way, all right?
Yeah,
However,
I know you get that.
However, your average response time here in San Clemente is under 5 minutes, right?
Average, we don't, averages are more around 7 minutes for response time, yeah.
So
For averages, yeah.
should we expect, I mean, because Falk is in your stations, should we expect better than 10 minutes from them as a guideline?
It depends because some calls they're out and about. It's hard to say really. Yeah, I don't want to. They have their contract with you guys, and for the most part, they're right with us. Like when they run with engine 50 or engine 60, they're right there, same call times. But there are times when they're coming back from the hospital, they jump on a call where it may be longer or whatever. But I don't know what their average is. Actually, there's probably in here. What is their average?
90, basically 91% in 10 minutes.
Yeah, because that is the response time they try to meet. So,
Okay,
yeah, which is good. They do a great job in the city, honestly.
okay, thanks, Shane.
The only other have you seen any issues without getting the fill when both units are out of town for extended periods of time?
No, there's times where it's real busy, but usually when one of those units is on a follow-up to the hospital, Falk actually funnels another ambulance into the city from either Dana Point, Laguna Niguel, something like that, because part of their contractual agreement with San Clemente is to constantly have the 2 ambulances. So even if it's doesn't say ET60 or ET50, it'll be a Falk ambulance in their place. And they're pretty good about doing that.
Yeah.
Honestly, so I haven't heard a big gap, but there are times where everyone's busy, where you get a 15-minute ETA from an ambulance is not super uncommon, but fortunately we're there with paramedics and getting things going, so they're good about following through with that.
Well, I can tell you if 91.7.2% of my career, when I called for a code 3 ambulance, if they were there within 10 minutes, I was very happy. Yeah, so we're good.
Yeah, they do good.
About a year ago, another committee member is not with us now, and I went out to their headquarters and saw their training and all, and duly impressed with what they had going, because they've got constant turnover, and they rely on Shane's crews to select the best working in the city.
We do, yeah. We interview for every EMT that does work on those ambulances, which is really nice. In fact, 2 of them just got hired with us again, which is good. So we hired 2 more of them, and so in the next few weeks, actually do an email to set up interviews again. So it's good. Our crews select, the best candidates to work on those ambulances, which is probably why they do so well here and end up hiring them. So it's a good thing.
It makes it easier to steal them when you pick them.
They already live with us and everything. It's a perfect interview process.
Pre-selection.
That's good.
Yeah, it's quite a deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. All right, let's go to the fire authority as far as the performance measures, if it would.
All right, so for us, our performance measures are here. As we talked about in the past, they look a little different because we stopped, we figured out that giving averages is not the most accurate way to report out on response times. Even though they looked really good because you're trying to make calls under 8.5 minutes is our ultimate goal. From time of the phone call coming in to 911 to us arriving on scene, our average was like 7 minutes and 6 seconds. For us to have better data to figure out how we can provide better service in different cities, we go on what's fractile percentages, which I'm not a math person. I've had to have them explain this multiple times. But you can see the percentage of calls within 8 minutes and 30 seconds is at 76%. And so that helps us as we evaluate where can we increase services, and we want to keep things in that higher percentage of calls that we're able to arrive at 8.5 minutes. So we're at 76%. Which is honestly pretty good. Our response time average is 7 minutes, just over 7 minutes. But we always want to be increasing that. So we have a standards of coverage audit that was going on right now to try and increase services throughout the whole Orange County, which would be really good to see where it comes out of that. But other than that, call processing time, that's the time of the call coming in to our dispatch center to fire engine being toned on it. It's 57 seconds. The national kind of standard that they want to go for is 1 minute and 4 seconds. So we've always been really, really quick with that, which is great. 1,569 overall calls in that first quarter. And the other stuff is inspections and things like that. The inspection load's obviously low because we start our major inspection load right now in the month of January. So first quarter goes 24 to 25 with the fiscal year. So other than that, available for any questions on that.
Are the still alarms considered in these calls?
Yeah, so like
responses.
Meaning like somebody coming to the door of the fire station, or just like
have to go by and say there's a
fire
right there.
If they generate a response out of it, they'll get counted into there as well. Yeah. Yep.
So
that's why we don't use the averages, right? Because if you just happen to drive upon something and that's a 1 second response time, that skews everything. Whereas we try to use this fractile percentage. Wish I could explain that better.
Well, no, I mean, it makes sense.
But essentially, yeah, overall, we want to be, in the 80-90 percentage of meeting all of our calls within that 8.5 minutes.
Right.
And that's the long-term goal, is getting everything, even as the population grows, we can use those percentages to kind of gauge, a year from now, if we're down from 76% to 60%, well, we're not keeping up with the growth, and we got to look at what we can do to increase services. So it's a good overall way to look at it.
So that brings me to my question. In those goals that you had said that trying to align with, was there a metric that's already been put out for this percentage? Like, or is the first metric gonna be like 80, like you had said, or?
Meaning like what we're aiming
So
for?
right now you're at 76, yeah. So
We're
it's-
aiming for 90% like everywhere.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's the goal everywhere. And so, and with that comes a lot of moving parts, right? So it's a regional fire service throughout the county. Some cities are what's known as cash contract cities, so to increase services to San Clemente specifically, San Clemente, that's a cost, right? So, but we could increase services in the near area, Rancho Michigan, San Juan, things like that. And we can look at things like that feed into San Clemente that also help us. So it's really nice to have a regional fire service because we get fire engines and trucks that support the city of San Clemente from the area around here too, that specifically maybe San Clemente doesn't pay for. Whereas if it's our own fire department, everything is in-house, if that makes sense. So so we're looking at that overall picture to see how we can increase services to spread the wealth everywhere, which would be good.
Shane, what are our plans on brush clearance?
Our pre-fire management works with all the HOAs all year long, especially any properties in that like very high fire severity zone. We actually go out and do physical inspections of those properties and work with property owners and code enforcement if there's issues on that. So we do work with the city a lot and all the HOAs for brush clearance. And as far as fire roads, brush clearance, our hand crew and heavy equipment's out all year long clearing fire roads and fire breaks throughout the county. But a lot of it falls on homeowners, knowing how to harden their home and make it right, have a defensible space, working with the city and code enforcement on clearance that needs to happen. HOA is doing their part, and I know the city's working through a lot of programs that the city has to assist people in making sure that they have that clearance. And so it's that. And then we just continue to be there to support, if residents ever want to have us come look at their homes specifically, if they live up against the brush, they can go on our website and request an inspection. They'll get a fire marshal that'll come and actually walk their property with them and tell them that's dangerous, and they'll get a punch list at the end of the things that they need to do to make their home safe, because it really, as much brush clearance and things that you do, you get a big wind event like they had in LA, it's going to take a lot of clearance to stop those embers, but if you harden your home and do the things that you can do to your home to keep those embers out of your home, that's going to be the biggest thing. So really education is probably our biggest thing right now. And like I said, if people want more information, that ocfa.org/RSG, which is Ready, Set, Go, has a ton of information on everything you can do for that.
Thanks.
But yeah, we've been working with the city a lot lately just to look at everything and see how we can do everything to make sure we're looking good in the city.
Are the HOAs being encouraged, without gearing them towards a specific vendor, are the HOAs being encouraged to look into the deploying the goats and stuff like that? Because I've been hearing there's some HOAs that are hesitant about it. I don't know if that's a cost thing or the viability of it. I mean, is that something that comes up?
I actually don't know if I can answer on the goats so much with the HOAs, but Adam may have information.
Okay.
on that. Sorry.
No worries.
Because that is a good program.
Great question, Committee Member Roden. So at this point in time, as Captain Mall has indicated, there's a lot of city efforts going on to look at the areas of the city that the city controls, or we have jurisdiction to control, whether that's through a maintenance agreement or easements, or it's actually city property. As far as the private property is concerned, I know there's a lot of outreach from OCFA to the HOAs to talk about their fuel modification. Sometimes those conversations do lead to conversations with the city, but at this point there isn't a program necessarily in place to reach out to all of the HOAs to specifically provide guidance on how to maintain their properties. A lot of the property in the city is open space, which people can look at and say there's a lot of brush clearance opportunity there. However, that's not entirely accurate. There are some areas of concern as they butt up to residential homes. A lot of the tracks in the what we call the ranch lands, the Ranch of San Clemente, Forster Ranch, or Talega, even Marblehead Inland, and to some extent Marblehead Coastal, because there's some canyon areas there. Those were all developed with fuel modification plans. So those areas already have kind of a built-in buffer around them. A lot of the other open space area needs to be treated a little bit differently. And while there is some opportunity to thin brush, there's a lot of areas of the city that are covered by conservation easements and things that limit what you can actually do with those properties. But the city, as a first step, is looking at how we're treating our open space areas and hopefully developing some program guidance that we could share with HOAs on best management practices and things to that effect. One of those efforts is utilizing volunteers. We had an event 2 Saturdays ago, and we have one planned for this coming Saturday to address some areas of publicly owned property. This Saturday's event is going to be on the Ridgeline Trail between Salvador Water Tower, or Reservoir rather, and I'll say as far down towards Steep Park as we can get, just to ensure that border, that kind of border along the city is protected to the extent that it can on the areas where the city has some maintenance rights to it, just to clear out a lot of vegetation that's remains on either side of the utility access road that's there. But organizing a volunteer effort, as we've heard, that's something that the city is very interested in doing. By the city, I mean the residents. Identifying how to run those types of volunteer programs so that the HOAs have a little bit of guidance on how they could manage something like that. The city would not be able to manage a volunteer effort on an HOA-run property, but we could definitely provide them some resources to help them along that way. The GOAT project is, I think the pen is nearing completion. The GOAT should be arriving sometime soon. And that will take place on a slope that is between the Vista Hermosa Sports Park and the residential neighborhood to the southwest-ish area. There are some conservation easements in that general vicinity that we need to steer clear of, but there's a lot of area where we're going to be able to see how effective the GOAT program is. And that is being provided for by a resident of the city for free. So once we surmise how successful that type of program would be, we can start talking about future work with that type of service, and then the same information we could make available to HOAs to see how that might work for them.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Adam. We did have a fire last week.
Yeah, we did. And I can share now kind of about the last couple of weeks if you want. And maybe just to
and lessons learned from the takeaways from LA County.
So obviously, everybody's well aware of all the fires that happened up in LA County. Super destructive fires under incredible conditions, probably none of us have really seen. Almost hurricane force winds. So in that time frame, from the Orange County area, we sent out 3 strike teams to those fires, as well as our helicopters were up working those fires. We had hand crews, dozers. So we pretty much sent as much as we could send, but still be protected here in Orange County, because obviously we were under red flag conditions as well. But that's kind of the agreement we have in this area of Southern California, which is really great. The fire chiefs work real hard to support each other. When you need help, we'll send help. So we sent a lot of help up there. And did the best we could, obviously, in LA. And then back here within Orange County, and just for everybody's kind of awareness, we pretty much staffed up every fire engine or truck that rolled. Basically, every reserve apparatus, all the apparatus that was at headquarters used by training, We called back all the personnel within OCFA and staffed all of those within the county. So within Orange County, amongst all the normal fire stations that were in service, we staffed up 3 strike teams within county, which is a strike team is 5 engines and a battalion chief. So we had those staged throughout different parts of the county. We had an incident management team in place, staffed up our dispatch center. We had our DOC, which is our Department Operations Center, was staffed. So we kind of staffed for everything, knowing that all resources throughout the state and really from all over, we're going to LA. So if something did happen here, it was going to be pretty much all on us for a while, which is what happened, back in '93 with the Laguna fire and things. Resources were depleted throughout this region, so we were kind of on our own. So that was really good. We did have multiple small starts, even amongst the red flag conditions. We had a few in Aliso Viejo that fortunately were really, really small. We had one in Lake Forest that got up to a 1/4 acre. Mission Viejo, right below the homes on a Rio Trigo golf course, started right below those houses. And then obviously this one right here on the hill here in San Clemente. All of those, because we were so staffed up and ready for it, on a normal day, you would have got the normal response of engines. Obviously this one right here, Truck 59, was there really quick, as they always would be. But before really anybody else could get there, a strike team of Type 3 engines, which is exactly what we needed, was actually in Santa Margarita when the fire broke, and so they were on scene before a lot of the other resources. So that staffing up played huge in all those fires. The one in Mission Viejo, I was only like 3 exits away when the fire broke. Before I could get there, a strike team of engines were on it, which was great because that one was only a couple hundred yards from the homes right above. And so that upstaffing and being ready it proved really well. So I'm sure, going into future wind events, things like that, like Adam spoke to, there's a lot of vegetation that, you might look in the hills, and that's part of the beauty of where we live, right? So a lot of it you can't just chop down and take away, but we're ready to respond to it when it does happen. And, I think LA was staffed up as well. That was an incredible wind event. That's hard to stop when you get those kinds of winds and those kinds of embers. That's why we teach people to just harden your homes, because you might not be right against the brush, but it's the little baby embers that blow through the air that get up into your attic, and that cause the big problem. So yeah, I think that's kind of what we had here. The one in San Clemente, fortunately, I think we held it under a 1/4 acre, so that was real good, and just glad we caught that one.
What was the cost?
That one, most likely, it was kids up there. Doing
Is that
stuff.
couch gone? That was up there?
I don't know if the couch is gone.
Yes.
Now that's gone.
Couch is gone.
And so, is that area there, is that Toledo's responsibility, or is that?
That's probably Toledo HOA, right?
Okay. Toledo Maintenance Corporation manages that. Okay.
From your experience, with these brush fires and things, starting homes on fire, what's the percentage of attic fires versus regular fires that are burning these houses down?
During the wind event
Yeah.
type of thing, a major percentage. Yeah, it's unfortunate. You'll be driving down a street, and anybody who's your son, I'm sure, can tell you. You drive down the street and you see smoke coming from the attic. It's those embers that'll blow off of these fires and palm trees and stuff, and you see them on the news just blowing everywhere. They can get up into any open space in your attic, and once it's going in the attic, on a normal day, if we get an attic fire right here in San Clemente, we send 4 engines, 2 trucks, and a battalion chief, and everybody works hard and gets on the roof and works together to put the fire out. When you have multiple houses going like that, it's really, really difficult to be able to make a stop. And crews, from talking to our crews that were up there and all the crews that were up there, they did everything they could to save as many homes as they could. But unfortunately, you'd have to move to the next house and come back, and something was in the attic and got that house. So the attic is a big one. So whatever you can do to, the grates that are typically covering attic vents are like a 1/4 inch. That'll still let the embers in. We tell everybody to go to Home Depot and get the 1/8 inch little mesh to put over that, and that'll stop a lot of the embers. Best thing you can do, unless you close them up completely.
Do the attic sprinklers work well?
Attic sprinklers, I don't know. I know that we have them. I don't have good,
Yeah.
I mean, once it's going and water becomes an issue and things like that, I don't know. Sprinklers are good.
I was just because I
Yeah.
recently found out I have them in my attic. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, San Clemente's been pretty good about putting sprinklers throughout attics and homes. And so I would imagine that they do a good job. It just all depends on water and how much fire is in that attic. Once there's too much fire, it'll overwhelm the system.
And with an event like they just had in LA,
Yeah.
you got so many fires going on and everybody's sprinklers are going.
Right.
That drops the water pressure, creates a problem that way too.
Yeah, exactly. So once all the water's going, it's hard to keep up with that water. Best water in the world. It's hard to keep up with those demands.
Yeah. That's and I guess this year is the year that we can make recommendations for a new additions to the state fire code for every 3 years, and this is the year to recommend so that the 2026 year is when the new codes come out. So lessons learned from LA County that you can handle down here.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a little bit before we get real good lessons learned. Yeah, I mean that's hard, right? If a hurricane blew through the city, you won't be surprised to see so much damage. But essentially, you had that kind of wind blowing fire with it. Right. It's tough. I know they did a really good job of trying to evacuate people, things like that, and the crews did the best they could with deploying where they could. You know, once the winds are that high, you can't fly helicopters and planes. Right. But when the winds died down a bit, fortunately, the aerial firefight probably saved a lot of homes that maybe years ago may not have been as good because we had a lot of night flying helicopters and things like that flying. So those things have been a big progression that we've had over the years. And so it's just going to be, there'll be a lot of lessons learned in the sense of what we truly need to be ready. I think fortunately everybody's very interested now in fire and fire suppression and in fire safety and taking care of their own homes, even when they don't live on the side. So the more we can do to educate people, I think right now would be the best, because that's how we'll be ready for anything that comes like this in the future.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Good. Any other more comments, questions? Okay.
Well explained.
I want to get into the unfinished business of the committee's public safety annual work plan, if I may. Communications disaster preparedness project update. I've got a couple here. Tom and I are working on this. It's tsunami signs. I got a call from a staff member of the city from street maintenance who is going to actually go out and do an inventory of the signs. I conferred with him today. We should have results within 2 weeks on that, so that we know that we've got where the signs are, if they're on state property, wherever. And then we figure out if we have enough signs to educate the folks when the tsunami happens and they're in a position to, they're vulnerable to tsunamis because of the coast. I'm trying to reach out to Team Rubicon for the information on them. It's volunteer organized. It's I see. They're kind of busy right now with LA County, but we'll be talking more with them. Hopefully I'll make it a presentation put together for that. Just now we're looking at a emergency plan, or any updates on emergency planning at all, as far as a planner? Yeah.
No update at this time, but we anticipate information coming soon on that.
Gotcha. All right. Tom, you have anything on emergency
No.
preparedness and communications?
Covered it.
Yep. Good. Okay, homeless and best practices, let's see here. Anything on that, Mark? Anything on homelessness?
I do not.
Okay. Nothing new on that one. Let's see, Neighborhood Watch. Mike?
Ryan Case, this past Saturday, did a really good neighborhood watch in Seaview Townhomes. Very informative. He's great. Adam, one thing, we approved some monies for them for some handouts and some other things. How do they access that? Brian has his budget, and he's using his budget, but we added some into that. Has that gone to them, or do they know how to access it?
That would not be something that gets transferred ahead of time. That would be something that they would either request the payment for or request reimbursement for.
Right.
That can be handled. Natanya can handle that. So next time you speak with Brian, just let him know to contact Natanya and she'll help.
Great deal.
Facilitate that. Yeah.
Thanks. That's it.
Okay. The next one is statistical information review. We've been reviewing the stats from OCFA and marine safety today, so we're doing that. Anything for that? Okay. Subcommittee. Human trafficking. Michael, Mark, anything close on that?
Yeah.
Still waiting for information.
Waiting on which information?
I don't know.
From the I-5 people.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to Stacey. Have you?
No, I mean, the last sending it was before.
I'll reach out to Stacey and just see if there's anything
Yeah.
we should be aware of. I'll do that today or tomorrow.
Okay, e-bikes is another one here. I'd like to, I don't know, Chief, did you get that stat report from Jared?
So we do have some stats, and I could fill you in, and if needed,
Yeah.
Sergeant Streeter could help me out. But we do, one of the things that we've identified within our own department is how to better track e-bikes. Because we found out that when we do cite a bike, for example, we're not distinguishing between a regular pedal bike to an e-bike to maybe a moped or a dirt bike or illegal bikes, which are the Serons. So currently our stats do not indicate and tell us the difference between what bike it was. So because of that, our stats are not able to tell us exactly what it was, whether a pedal bike or an e-bike. We can tell you that currently, based on those stats, we had over 73 sites total, but again, I can't tell you specifically what it was, whether a pedal bike or an e-bike. Within in-house, one of the things that was identified was that, and not to wait for the department to facilitate a new system, collectively the team here was able to do their own op, and they were able to track stats between April and June. And during that time frame, they were able to track that they were able to cite a total of at least 20 sites for e-bikes, and they were able to cite/tow at least over 30 dirt bikes /Serons. So that's the information that we have. Our department or our guys have been proactive, obviously, with e-bikes and the e-bikes concern within the community.
Yeah, it's a concern all over, but San Clemente with the trails and stuff like that, so that's consideration is pretty heavy on that. Also, we look at the fire department for injuries, e-bike or bicycle injuries. Any comment on?
I did not bring any stats. I do know we get them here and there, obviously, and they're usually pretty decent injuries, but I didn't look up any stats. I apologize. I'll bring that next time.
Yeah, we're obviously we're trying to do the prevention type thing, so it's a lot of, that's where the citations come in and all. We don't want to end up like, I was in Brea a couple of weeks ago, where some kids went off the rails and hit a wall and pretty well wiped out, as they say. So you don't need that. Technology review. Nothing there that we can come up with on that. Park Ranger program. Nothing that jumps out at us. No.
We're still waiting for some more information on that tracking program.
Yeah. Good. Okay, one of the things we need to do is to reallocate the subcommittee. One of our committees for these work programs, one of our committee members resigned and left us short was never my problem. Yeah, I know.
I know Seth was vertically challenged, but I don't know if I call him short.
Anyway, so let's see. That would make committee in Greenwald, Hazelton, and Ronan pick up the slack here. Any volunteers for homelessness, neighborhood watch, and technology? Let's see.
I can keep neighborhood watch.
Well, you already have it, so you
Yeah, I
can't
know.
take
I
the
just-
flies.
I
I'll
just-
join it with you.
No, I just say.
I'll join it with you.
Yeah, but we're gonna divvy up the ones that we're not already on, so you can add neighborhood watch to mine.
Okay.
And then I'll take homelessness and best practices.
There you go.
And then,
Let's see here.
well, that won't work because Tom's on tech,
And so,
so you would have to take tech, and then Tom would get homelessness.
Okay. That works.
Only so many sides of the dice, I guess.
Yeah. Get new dice.
So Tom got tech, and
Tom got 2.
no,
Yeah, I'm already on tech. So.
Yeah,
no, sorry. Tom got homelessness,
right.
and Mike's added to tech.
Got it.
It's good. You're pretty techy.
And the neighborhood involvement, Mark, you've got that one?
Neighborhood watch yet?
Yeah. Okay. Make the notations and change that up.
Sorted that out quick.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all that. All right. Okay, we're going to go to reports of the committee members and staff, which is police services. Obviously, welcome aboard for at least interim for at least a couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to be here. Like I said, I've heard plenty. This is one of 13 contract cities that we have, and I can honestly say this is one of the jewels of the contract cities that we do have. You have a lot to offer for our staff and the people that work here, and that's why they enjoy working here. So, although it might be brief, I'm hoping to enjoy my 2 weeks working here. So, thank you.
Great, and we appreciate the work that the Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, and the Marine Safety do, especially keeping us all as safe as possible within limits that we have. Good.
And you've got a really great crew here, so.
That's what made it easy for me to volunteer for this position. Absolutely. Having him here is what makes it easy for me, so absolutely, you're absolutely right, 100%.
Ryan does a great job also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fire Services, Chief Paul.
I think I probably gave most of my report out in that last section, but welcome Kevin Malday. We have worked together in the past as well, so there shouldn't be any change in our working together, so that'll be a really good thing. So we'll just continue to do what we do, and be prepared for the next couple weeks. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Stay in touch with all this. Chief, a lot.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's been a while since I've been here. I missed November, I was sick, or October, November I was sick, and December I was on vacation. But anyway, since our last meeting, our business hours right now are from 8 a.m., always 8 a.m., but we're closing at 5:30 now. Since our last meeting, we've had 278 and 200,000 beach visitors, lifeguards involved, and 4,533 incidents since the last time I was here. The lifeguards rescued 5 swimmers in distress, no drownings. Lifeguards conducted 484 preventative actions, 2,219 public education contacts, 88 medical incidents where we had 7 ALS calls assisted by OCFA, 1,742 law enforcement contacts, 13 requests for deputies' assistance. We had 2 missing persons reunited with family members, 7 Papaga landings, 1 stingray. 1 notable rescue occurred on November 19th. One of our part-time guards working in the Zero Tower was scanning from the south and turned to the outside and noticed a individual with a trench coat go to the side of the pier. Gave me a call and I told him to respond. He runs down there and it was a female that went over the side. You would think that she jumped in the water, but she was holding the pipe below the deck, dangling. So he dropped his stuff, got over to the side of the rail, grabbed her wrist and pulled her up, and she was asked, is she okay? What was she doing? She said she wanted to go for a swim and figure life out. Deputies came down with the homeless liaisons and made contact, so she was in good hands after that. December 25th, we had a Christmas miracle rescue that happened. There was a 49-year-old on a bodyboard. Surf was about 6 foot. He was on the outside. He passed a former lifeguard that worked for me, Luke Overend, and Luke said, "Hey, how's it going?" He goes, "Oh, I'm tired." He went out to the outside and just kind of sat there. A friend of his happened to be out there, and he was going to go in. He said he was there for 2 hours, so he was going to go in, but he saw his buddy coming out, so he sat there, and he was this close to him, and he said Merry Christmas to him. He said Merry Christmas, and he just went on his back, face up, and he said to me, he's like, I get tired, I go on my back, but I looked at his eyes and I could only see the whites of his eyes. So I got off my board and held his head up and screamed at the surfers, and they were there within 10 seconds. And 2 of them were former lifeguards, 1 for state, David Richardson and then Luke Overend. Sent a couple of lifeguards down there. Cade Matson, a local pro surfer, paddled over and helped as well as the victim's friend, but he got overwhelmed just because of the conditions and bringing them in. 3 surfers on the inside started paddling out. They recognized that he was being brought in, so they paddled back to the beach. A 13-year-old ran and got his phone, called 911. Another, Sawyer Limbald, was looking to direct, more assistance, and then David Economos swam back out and assisted when the lifeguard got there. Hayden, one of our marine safety officers, jumped in the water and brought him in, checked for a pulse and breathing, none. He did not have, and so he started CPR. Sean Garvey, was a retired firefighter for Station 60. He was on the bluff. His wife and his daughter said, "Hey, what's going on out there?" He said, "Nothing." I mean, he happened to have binos and looked and like, "Oh wow!" So he ran down and jumped in. So it was a collective effort. All involved was, I think, 15, and then obviously OCFA was there. Mackenzie Snyder, Greg Bradshaw, John Knowles, and I'm forgetting the other name, but the 4 of them stabilized the patient. Ian Burton, a marine safety officer, got the ED on him, shocked him multiple times, and got a pulse before he left the beach. He was sent up to Mission, and then eventually he was put in a coma, brought his temperature down to 33 to preserve his brain, and he woke up from a coma on the 31st, and And then a few days or a week later, he was shipped up to LA because of his insurance. I talked to him on Friday, and he is back at work. Majority of those folks involved in that rescue will be recognized at City Council meeting on Tuesday, February 4th at 5:30, including the victim, Ollie, and then all those who can attend, Kate Matson and Sawyer in Hawaii, or will be in Hawaii, so they won't be able to attend. But should be, it's a great way to show support for the community. So that was a big ticket item, the Christmas miracle. So
how old was the patient?
49. And then on the 29th, there was a suicide up at North Beach around 8 o'clock, found on the beach close to the water. January 10th, lifeguards issued a citation for a dog, 31 encampments reported, 5 graffitis reported. Right now, our staffing levels are 4 during the weekdays, 5 on weekends. We are staffing North Beach on weekends just because of the bridge is still out and due to the tide and the surf, we're not always able to get around, so it just kind of takes that pressure off of North Beach. The water temperature since the last time I've met, it's been as low as 55, as high as 65, air temp 46 to 71. HQ headquarters and Tower Zero got repainted outside and interior. There's a new RSVP shack and new bike racks being put in at the Basin Piers, nearing completion there. And the contractor hired to build the 3 new tires is doing so right now as I speak in the back of the lot of our lifeguard headquarters. We have a research class for returning lifeguards this weekend. They'll get 18 hours of instruction. And then our rookie training, we have 13 new cadets. Our rookie training is in-house. It's every weekend in March. It's 5 consecutive weekends. It's 100 hours of training, so we look forward to having some new guards to fill up our rosters. We have swim tests coming up for junior lifeguards. They start in March on Sundays and Wednesdays. So if you know any kids that will be 9 by the first time the sessions begin, they have to swim 100 yards, which is 4 laps under 2 minutes. Sand project, phase 2 came in November 15th. They exited on December 6th. They pumped 86,000 cubic yards. Between phase 1 and phase 2, they pumped up 200,000 cubic yards. And you can see some of that sand now that we're into the winter swell with the west-southwest swells. That sand has migrated all the way down to Cottons. You can tell just because of the sand that they got at Surfside is the orange tint. A lot of the sand, we had the North Beach sand replenishment project up there too. We got 32,000 cubic yards. And a lot of that sand has moved to Mariposa Point. So you can see how it shifted. Because in the summertime, all that sand that we got from the U.S. Army Corps went towards Mariposa Point. Now it's shifted, and now it's all white from North Beach because it was a different color than what we got from the Army Corps. But that's it for me. If anyone has any questions.
Just curious, the Ponga landings, is that an uptick?
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about that.
Yeah, for sure. It typically we'll get like maybe 2, 3 a year, but we've seen 7 probably in the last month and a half, 2 months. A couple of them, typically what you'll see is like life jackets and gas cans on the beach. And this last one that happened on Monday, there was life jackets, but the 2 prior, the one at North Beach and the one at north of Linda Lane, Mariposa Point, there was no life jackets. So the CBP kind of thinks it may be a drug run.
God, busy stuff.
So, question related to that. Somebody had asked me, and I said, I don't know, that's a great question. What happens with the boats?
So CBP contracts with U.S. Tow, and U.S. Tow takes them back to the harbor, and then they go to a salvage yard and get destroyed.
Oh, okay. The person that asked me was hoping the city collected them and they could get them. But anyway, my other question was, have you been given an ETA on the trail bridge?
No, I haven't.
Do we know? Nothing? Okay.
Don't
That's
hold
it.
your breath.
Oh, I won't.
Only if you look good in purple.
I'm going to hold my my comments till the end. Committee members, Tom,
Nope, I'm good.
Michael,
Nope.
Mark,
Nothing. Thank
nothing
you.
there. City staff,
Guess not.
Danielle,
No,
nothing.
nothing new.
Natanya, Adam, Rachel, no,
Council member.
Rick, council member.
For the city.
Good job. Well, then it's up to me then. I want to thank everybody for coming today and the support we get from our public safety entity. We can do lots better in the city, but I think it's outstanding right now. But I always look for better. With that, I'd like to adjourn the meeting and until Tuesday, February 25th, 2025 at 3 p.m. at City Hall, City Council Chambers.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.